Welcome to Community Connections with Children's Services Council of St. Lucie County. I am just one of your humble hosts, Sean Boyle, and with me is
Ashley Mock.
And welcome to the half-hour television program that's all about connecting you, the viewers, to resources and things that are available in our great community we call St. Lucie County. Now, we at the Children's Services Council, despite doing this show for over 10 years, right?
Like 13 years.
I said over 10, that qualifies. We've been doing this show for a long time, but we are still not media professionals. But we are very grateful for St. Lucie Public Schools and specifically WLX TV. So if you're watching us on internet, make sure you check your local cable provider so that you can sleep late at night and watch our show. Or if you're watching us on your cable provider and you want to see us grow up and see if we've gotten any better at this show, because it's 13 years worth of video, you can go on YouTube, which is my son's favorite TV channel. Look up WLX St. Lucie. You can find all their wonderful programming, including this show that dates back how many years?
At least 10 are on YouTube.
Well, it was 13. Now you've gone to 10.
Okay.
In fairness, Ashley was in middle school at that time, so
That's
it's
right.
all good. So welcome to the show. Again, as we say, we are not media professionals, but we at the Children's Services Council are Ashley, myself, the entire team, the council, our board, we focus on 5 priorities. And those priorities are 1, making sure every baby's a healthy baby. 2, stopping child abuse before it happens. 3, keeping kids off the streets. 4, keeping them in school. And 5, keeping them off drugs, alcohol, and other risky behaviors. And when I say we focus on them, we track community indicators in those 5 priorities, and we develop programs and systems of care that are available and fund those programs that are available to all children and families in St. Lucie County.
And obviously, while this show is a very entertaining way to learn about those programs and resources that we work with, we've got a couple other options for you as well. One of them, Sean brought props today. We have a printed family guide. It is a list of all of our funded programs that we work with in the community, along with their contact information. So if there is a program or a resource that you are looking for, or something that you want to share with a friend or a coworker, the Family Guide is a great place to do that. We've got, again, printed copies that we can bring to you, to your office, to your church. But this is also available on our website at cscslc.org. This gets updated just about every year. There's a date on the top of this one.
So don't be thrown by this date.
Don't be thrown.
It's the most recent copy.
That's right. This is the most recent one. We do have some changes that we're anticipating in our next year. So after October, we'll have some changes. But this is the most recent one that we have for right now. And if you are interested in having some, we have them in multiple languages as well. So they're available in English, Spanish, Creole, and Portuguese. So if you have a need for those, please just reach out to us at our office, 408-1100, and we'll make sure that we get some to you.
And if you're thinking, Ashley, Sean, look, I am with technology. I do not want paper anything. You can jump on our website, again, cscslc.org, because we love our acronyms in the nonprofit world.
That's true.
It's an acronym for Children's Services Council St. Lucie County. You jump on our website, you can look it up directly on the website, or you can download the PDF version. Or if you want us to come to your place of business, worship, your civic group, we will come bring these guides. And if you want, we will also speak to your group about whatever you want to talk about, obviously children and families related, but we can come and present and kind of give a state of the child if you want.
Definitely.
And we should also talk about, they can find us on social media.
They can.
The Book of Face, or Facebook as it's commonly known, as well as Instagram and end of list.
That's correct. But no, we do share a lot on social media, not just about what we are doing in the community, but what our programs are doing, upcoming events, fun things to do for families. So Facebook is a good place to stay in touch with us. Instagram is a more, I don't know, maybe more fun place to find us, maybe.
Look, social media and fun don't always go together, but I will tell you, if you're going to follow one social media page that's going to uplift and or let you know the resources and events that are happening, make sure you look up Children's Services Council, put in the St. Lucie County. There are other Children's Services Councils across the state, but we're particularly fond of the St. Lucie one.
That's right. That's right. So you have more props.
I am the Vanna White of this show. So I also brought, we recently just released, as we mentioned before, we have 5 priorities and we fund programs in those categories, particularly or specifically 54 programs. And we kind of, at the end of the year, we have multiple reports, but this is our annual impact report. We summarize the impact that those programs had on the children and families that we've served.
And this is, that was a good page to open to. Right. So we call this our coloring book look at kind of our data, our information, the idea behind us publishing this annual report is that we want you to be able to read it in 5 minutes or less and get an idea of the impact that we're having in the community. So this is a really good way to do that. Again, as Sean mentioned, this is available on our website, but it is also available in a printed guide. So if you have a group that we could come present to, talk about what the impact that these programs are having on the community, we're absolutely happy to do that. But we do have copies available for distribution, and or you can just flip through the pages on our website.
And this report has a little bit of something for everybody, right? Because you speak to groups and they're like, I don't want to hear all the fluffy stuff, just give me the numbers. So we've got the numbers in this report, but then you've got other people who are like, numbers are numbers, but behind those numbers are families and children. So we have some stories in there that kind of put a face to some of those numbers. And we should say, this is our annual report, right? Obviously we published it, and it's our partnership with 54 programs. So this does not just reflect the work of the Children's Services Council. This reflects the work of all of our partners and so many more that we both work with, fund perhaps, but also just work with in the community. So this is really, truly a community report that we're very proud to publish.
Absolutely.
So I was just going to mention, we've had and I know we don't like to date shows, but we've had a couple of tragedies in our community recently, and particularly a lot of them that hit close to the St. Lucie Public School family. And I just want to say, if you know any of those families, or if you just we have such a remarkable community. It's really, nobody wants to see a tragedy, but when there's one, it's really remarkable in our community to see how everybody rallies. And I'll just remind everybody that we are all connected. We're all a big family. If you have the opportunity to support and help, even if it's not somebody that's in the public eye, but we're a great community because neighbors help neighbors, community members help community members, and all the research that we do involving children and families and the impact, there's one common denominator. Every child needs to have a caring adult. And it could be their mom, it could be their dad, it could be their grandparents, or it could be you, their neighbor, friend. Just make sure that we're uplifting everybody in our community.
Yes.
So we have a great guest.
We do.
A very excited guest.
I know, we joked.
Let me rephrase that. I'm excited that she's here. I think she's excited.
Is she excited? We kind of joked before the show started that we felt like we had to be on our best behavior today.
And this is us on our best behavior.
It's a sad situation. No, we do have a great guest today, and I'm excited that she's here with us. I feel like it's been a little while since we've done TV with you. This is not an unfamiliar location for you, though. We happened to find you in the halls here, actually, which was convenient.
We didn't have to wait for the guest to arrive. She was waiting for us to arrive.
So, multiple hats that you wear in this community, and maybe a couple that you're going to wear for us today. So, I guess we need to first introduce you as an esteemed board member of the Children's Services Council, but also the chair of St. Lucie Public Schools School Board, / the CEO of Big Brothers Big Sisters.
So this is a special show. We're going to be here for an hour and a half going over all those roles.
So you're a busy lady, but I think, Sean and I can speak for both of us when I say that we are so grateful for all of those roles that you play. Several of them are very close to us, and we appreciate that. But also, we're going to talk specifically about Big Brothers Big Sisters today.
One hat.
One hat.
Okay.
One hat. So we recognize all of them, but just today we're going to focus on the one.
Can do that.
Yeah. So we've worked with Big Brothers Big Sisters for a long time, since I can remember.
A long time, very long time. Because again, what did we talk about? How important a caring adult is for a child? That really sums up Big Brothers Big Sisters.
What a segue there.
There's some thought behind these words that come out of my mouth.
So I can't imagine that there's a lot of our viewers that aren't familiar or haven't heard about Big Brothers Big Sisters. But
I hope not. I hope that everybody's aware.
Yeah.
We work hard at it.
So give us kind of an overview. Tell us a little bit about how you guys got established in the community, because we're going to focus a little bit of time on that today. But what it is, what you guys do for our community.
Well, what we do, and I must say we do well, is we match a caring adult with a youth. And we serve children that are age 5 through graduation. Sometimes the match doesn't end there when they graduate from high school. They've become such a part of the family of their big brother or big sister that they just continue on. But we're really methodical in how we go about that. It's not the first child that comes to us and parents say, you know, we need a big brother for our son or whatever. We don't take the first big brother that's in the list. We really get to know the child and the adult so that we don't match a little boy that loves to fish with a big brother who would prefer to stay inside and play games or board games, that kind of thing. You know, we want there to be a level of engagement so that the relationship can be built from that, because the relationship is what matters. And that same big will stay with that same little throughout the course of the match, which can last a year. We have had some that start at age 5 and go all the way to age 18 when they graduate. So it's a long-term.
And some beyond that.
And some beyond that. We don't get to service the match after that, you know. Although we're really fortunate because they stay in touch. They'll send pictures, you know. The one was in a wedding for her big sister in New York, you know. So they went and did that. So they stay in touch. And oftentimes we'll ask the big, you know, okay, yours has aged out. We'll find another one. I say, no, you know, this was so special that I'd almost feel guilty to have another, you know. But then we have others in our school-based program that say yes, when they age out in 5th grade, they're ready to start again because they see such a difference that they make, you know. I often tell people it's really the adult that gets more out of it than the child. It really, really does.
You know, it's interesting you talk about how sometimes they, you know, go to 18 and then they just become part of the family. A former board member, Vern Melvin, I can remember, and he retired a few years ago. I remember his little was there for his retirement, and I think his little at that time was 20, 30 years old. He had his child with him.
And they still stay in touch.
And still part of that family.
They
so
do.
It's really amazing.
Absolutely, yeah, they really do. The unique thing about us beyond the relationship is the one-to-one. And the child gets used to that same person, and the relationship gets built that way. We never, you know, if a big brother is out of town for a meeting or something, we don't have a fill-in that goes and meets with them that day. It's and the little is always aware, you know, we'll miss this week, but we'll make it up. But we don't fill in. It's always the same, so that they can build on the relationship that they've started with. And all the research going back over 100 years when Big Brothers Big Sisters was first organized validates that makes the difference. And the other big component of our program is that we don't charge families for any of our services. We do that through fundraising and grants and that sort of thing, but all of that comes at no cost to our families. And along with that, we have the support of a bachelor degreed person in health services or human services that checks in on the match at least once a month with all 3 components of that to be sure there's no safety issues, or if they need resources or things like that, that high level help is there for them.
So I think we often use this show to mobilize people if they're watching and if they're not drifting asleep yet. But so obviously it takes volunteers in our community. So my first question is, do you have a need for more volunteers? And if so, just so that people understand, because obviously we're talking about a child, right? So we want to make, it's not like, hey, I called and tomorrow can I go meet my child?
Right.
There's a process. So maybe we can talk about the need and then the process.
Right. There's absolutely always a need, always a need. And it's a commitment too, which, people will come and when they realize the level of commitment, sometimes it's not for them. And we're glad to know that ahead of time so that a child's not disappointed. But yes, it's a very methodical process. All of our volunteers have to go through level 2 background screening. Safety is the predominant thing because this one child will be spending a lot of time with this one adult. So there's a lot of pre-work that goes into that. It can take sometimes 6 to 8 weeks for a volunteer to actually be approved because of the background checks. We do reference checks. They have to provide at least 5 references that we check and go through. And that's usually the time that holds us up the most because some people don't return calls real well, you know. So that it is a process. But when we get to the end of it, we feel like the person has been fully vetted, and in fact, they tell us we probably know more about them than their own spouse does, you know. But that's
might be true.
yeah, but
that's
it's
okay.
intentional.
That's okay,
It's
yeah.
intentional because we don't want to find anything down the road, you know, that would be harmful. And knock on wood, we've been very, very fortunate to not have any incidents, you know, that caused any great alarm. So we're proud of that.
And so you talked a little bit about what that commitment looks like. What is the expectation?
The
for
expectation, we ask our volunteers to commit for a year. It's an hour a week. About half of our matches, we call them school-based, because the big brother or big sister actually goes to the school site, meets with their little brother or little sister in an open place, but it's just the two of them. And that they work on skills that the teacher may say to the big, you know, we're struggling a little bit in math this week, or those, and so they'll hone in on that. But it's also a conversation and communication between the two of how things are going, you know, anything big happening this week, and they always know the birthdays and significant events in the little life, and they celebrate those with them. Our other type program is what we call community-based, and that is where the big brother or big sister actually goes to the home and picks up the child, and then they go and have some activities together in the community, whether they go to the library. A lot of our littles love to go fishing, bike riding. We had one time that her absolute favorite thing to do was to go to the big's house and water the plants. She loved to just play with the hose and water the plants because, you know, she's, Mom doesn't let me play in the water at home. So sometimes we get to, you know, to do some of those things that kind of stretch their creativity and all. So in that commitment, we ask for 4 hours a month. Sometimes they do 4 hours at a time. Sometimes they break it up 2 hours and 2 hours. More often than not, though, it's usually about 10 hours that they spend. That's our average with our community matches that they spend together each month. So
They probably go above and beyond because, as you said,
Absolutely.
the adults
get
probably
more.
get as much, if not more, out of it than the
Absolutely.
child does.
Yeah.
And I think it's important that you gave those examples, because I think a lot of people think, oh, I can't mentor because maybe I
can't,
don't have a lot of, you know, free income, and, you know, I got to take them to
Yeah.
Disney World and do all
No.
that.
In fact, we discourage that highly. It's not, we don't want the big to be a bank. We
Right.
really don't. These are experiences these children wouldn't have. One time, one of them took over to the beach. The child had never
Yeah.
had sand in their toes, never touched their feet into the ocean water, you know, and that's just a trip over the bridge,
Right.
you know.
But that's life-changing. Right?
Yeah.
It is,
absolutely.
absolutely. It really is. But we do some group matches, you know, that we sponsor and pay for, but we stress to our bigs, don't think you have to take them to big dinners or any of that. We don't mean this to be where you're subsidizing.
Right.
I mean, this is about memories and building a relationship.
Well, and you know, I feel like we've said the word relationship like 1,000 times, and you and I talk about this often when we're out in the community, but I think it can't be understated how important that is for children, because even kids who come from, you know, a relatively stable environment have a need for someone else to pay attention to them, show them that they care. Maybe the relationship that they have at home isn't as solid as we would hope for it to be, but just someone to celebrate those milestones with them, pay attention, and understand what's happening in their life is so important.
A lot of our bigs, especially our school-based ones, when they know their student is receiving, you know, Student of the Month or Honor Roll or good attendance, they make it a point to be there and to be in the audience for the child. And often they're the only ones that are, because the parent may be working and, you know, can't get away, or a lot of times our kids are being raised by grandparents and great-grandparents who transportation is an issue. So the bigs are there for them at all the significant moments that they can be. A lot of our bigs are retired, so they have that time, you know, to devote to it. But even the ones that are working full-time, they make their schedule work so that they can be there for those high moments and be there that same time every week. I mean, if my little is expecting me at 10 o'clock on Tuesday morning, I'm going to be there at 10 o'clock on Tuesday morning, or they're going to know why. It's not a sporadic thing.
Right.
It's a set time which helps with the school as well. You know, you can't just crash in anytime.
I'm here.
Yeah.
Right.
So
right.
I know in the past, and I'm going to throw my gender under the bus. I know in the past that, and maybe it's not that way anymore, but it used to be that there was a need for more male mentors. Is that
Right.
still?
That's still the case, specifically black males, really. We have an over need and undersourced for black males. And the other unique thing about our program is that we can only match males with males and females with females. So it does stretch, because we have more male children that are referred to us, but fewer male volunteers that come to us. But we work hard.
So I think that's a good time to throw down the gauntlet and issue a challenge. But in doing so, hopefully we've piqued some interest. We're still carrying on our conversation, but I think at this time, maybe can you give your number so that if somebody's like, you know what, I'm interested, or I'm going to go talk to my husband and make him call.
Make him call. Absolutely.
What's the phone number?
Our phone number is 772-466-8535. Call that number. We will return the call within a couple of hours.
That's great.
Yeah, we sure will.
That's very good. So we talked about the big side, the big side.
The big side.
But if a parent is listening and maybe has thought, you know what, my child could really benefit from
Right.
some extra support or another caring adult in their life, what's the process for a child to be
Well,
referred?
they can call that very same phone number, or they can talk to their teacher at the child's school. All of the schools know how to get in touch with us, and they will do so. If it's going to be a school-based match, it's got to originate at the school anyway. But the best, if you want a community match, is call that number, 466-8535, and our director of mentoring will be with you within a couple hours on that as well and get the particulars.
So when we had our radio program, we had a rather large population that would listen on their way to church or on their way to back to church. They would always say, like, we knew when you got to the guest I was running late, you know, that kind of stuff. So, and I'm hoping that many of them are continuing to watch us on WLX TV. Do you have somebody, if somebody's like, I have a civic group and they need to learn more about this, you know, a large audience, or a church group or something, do you have somebody that can go out and talk to those groups?
We sure do. We call her our community relationship specialist, but she is ready and available to go to any groups and has been doing so. We've really talked to a lot of churches this year, and they've picked a school, and so
great.
you know,
That's
they're
excellent.
taking and becoming big so that they go to the school-based and help with activities and that sort of thing. So yes, we're ready, willing, and able to go and talk to any group.
And we're gonna pivot here to a minute because we're gonna be celebrating something, or everybody's gonna be celebrating a big accomplishment. But I'm gonna again throw out that number because we aren't doing our job unless we at least say it five times. This is our third time. Call Big Brothers Big Sisters for your child. If you want to become a big, or if you have a group that they can come and speak to, at 772-466-8535. I'm looking around. I got it right.
right.
Yeah.
So now let's pivot to the big,
I'm impressed.
big celebration this year.
The big.
The big. That's right.
big
Big,
of the big.
news. It takes little to be big. Right. But this year, for St. Lucie County, our organization is 40 years old. So we are going to have a huge birthday bash this summer. We're going to invite back bigs that started then, if they're still around and can come, littles, all of them to come, and we're just going to have a huge celebration. Place to be determined. It's kind of going to be on what our turnout comes through, but play up our 40th anniversary and give really good due recognition to Judy Miller, who was our founding CEO, ED at that time, but in fact she teases
And still a big.
and still a big.
Yeah, she is.
Yes, she is, and yes,
She
absolutely.
might be more busy now than she was.
I think so. Yeah.
You know that I say that my mother has done the same.
Yeah.
She's more busy in
That's what you should
retirement
do.
than in
That's
work.
right.
But
Yeah.
that's excellent.
So, well, we've got several events that will be focused around that. We want to bring Taste of St. Lucie back, which we've done, you know, but this year I think we're going to start with the birthday party. And then next spring, bring Taste of St. Lucie back for the community as well.
I love that.
And we've got Bowl for Kids' Sake that'll come up in September, that'll have a 40 anniversary theme along with that. We're just going to ride the whole
It's a big
year with
year.
it and
It's a
enjoy it.
big year.
It's a big year.
Exactly.
But I'm glad that you mentioned all those events because as we discussed, you don't charge families
We do
to
not.
participate. And so those fundraisers are a big part of why that's
They are.
possible.
Yeah, they're really our lifeline. They really are to be able to provide the level of service that we do. And it's national standards that we adhere to, and it does take qualified people in qualified positions to oversee. And so, yeah, it's when we talk about numbers, our impact report just came out too. I'll have to send it to you hot off the press. But our number of bigs in 22-23 was 200 and something. That's 200 separate individuals that are devoting their time to one child. And we logged over 20,000 hours
Wow.
That's
that year
impressive.
alone. And that's one-on-one, which, it's not we're not serving 6,000 kids, but the 1,000 that we serve
That's
are
a
getting.
commitment, right?
It's
It
a
is.
commitment.
it
And
is.
that's an impactful relationship.
Exactly.
It's not just like a one-time.
That's right.
Yeah.
It's not. So we're excited about our 40th, where those littles and bigs have come back, some reunited, and hear their stories and get to catch up with each other on where they've been, the ones that haven't been able to stay in touch and that sort of. So Vern will be one of them we invite back because he was.
Awesome,
Yeah.
awesome.
We've got a lot here in St. Andy Treadwell,
Andy Treadwell, I was
Anthony
gonna say.
Bonna.
Yeah.
There's several that have been
And they
littles
tell
or
their
bigs,
stories
and they
often.
do.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
That's awesome.
And so again, utilizing the show to spread information so that if you can use it, great. If not, pass it along. But I'm kind of hearing multiple sectors. I want to make sure that everybody knows that they can get involved. So clearly, if you want to volunteer and become a big and really huge impact change in somebody's life, call 466-8535.
Good job.
I'm nailing this stuff.
is.
If you're
He's on
if you're a family that needs a big brother, big sister, obviously call that same number. If you have a group, a church, a civic group that they can come speak to, but I'm going to throw a new one in there. Let's say you're like, Sean, I'm good. I'm busy enough, but maybe you have means to help because again, this agency survives off fundraising and grants, and I'm assuming also donations.
Correct.
Both
Yes.
money and or in kind or something else.
Correct.
So they could certainly call that same number at 466-8535. What I'm getting at, folks, is there a way for everybody to get involved, but it all starts with calling that number.
Yeah. Or visit our website, www.bbbsbigs.org.
We do love our
And
acronyms.
all of the information and a little button to hit to donate, to volunteer, to apply to become a big or a little.
Awesome.
All of it on there as well.
And they're also on
There you go.
social media, and I got to
Thanks,
compliment whoever does your social media. Debbie, I don't know if you're doing your Facebook page or whatever, but they do a very wonderful job
Thank you.
of making it engaging and positive.
Yeah, thank you.
Well, and and we got like a few seconds left. You and I talked about how special it is to have Debbie.
Yep.
I just want to brag on Debbie for a minute because I've told Debbie this before. Debbie brings such a calming presence to whatever situation, a thoughtful, calming presence. I know you've experienced it. I've experienced it personally, and I think on behalf of Ashley and I, we want to thank you
Yes.
for everything that you do in the community. Multiple hats, multiple roles. We're talking about just one of them today, but very grateful that you are part of our lives and part of this community.
Right back at you both. Absolutely. It's my honor and joy to wear all those hats.
We want to thank you, Debbie. We want to thank everybody for tuning in. A reminder that it's a monthly TV show. If you happen to miss that, if we get the audio, we also turn that into a podcast. But we are grateful for every view. And make sure that you check out Big Brothers Big Sisters, 466-8535. Check out the Children's Services Council, 408-1100.
We almost
call it
stumbled on that one,
Those
didn't
years
we?
better than ours.
We are grateful, 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 and a reminder that it's our children, our community, our future. Now more than ever, folks, we're all in this together. We'll see you next month.